This video is going to illustrate how to create a Minesweeper or a game similar to the Minesweeper game, which is a super famous game using Windows Form applications. In order to show you how this is possible, I'm going to go over different parts of this application, which I have already built. And I'm going to tell you how to make it better. So let's start by explaining what Minesweeper is. If you take a look at the homework the homework 2 specification, there is a link for you to play the Minesweeper. Let's click on this, and this is google.com, and it allows you to play the Minesweeper yourself. This is the medium version. I can make it an easy game or a hard game. Let's keep it medium and click on this location. Any location in the whole field is a good location. It doesn't matter where you click. And by the first click, you will see some field gets open and cleared of mines. And then I have to predict the location of all the 40 mines that exist here. And there's a timer here. I have to select, I have to clear all the mines, find the location of all the mines in a proper fashion. So how do I know where the mines are in this field? How can I find out the 40 mines? I need to solve a simple logical puzzle. For example, I need to look at every single square's label and decide whether the neighboring squares are mine or not. Each label represents the number of mines surrounding that square. For example, because I see one here, among all of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares around that square, only one of them is mine. So because all of them are cleared except this one, therefore this one should be a mine. So I'm going to right click on it to represent this as a found mine or a sweep mine. I'm going to pick other mines, and I'm going to find out where the other mines are. When I reach to the number 0 here, I can say I'm the winner of this game. If I mistakenly click on one of the mine cells and I cannot predict the location of that mine, I will lose. In order to let's say, for example, this is not a mine cell, I can left click on it. Sorry, this was right click, left click. So basically, clicking on this, the left click on this basically means there's no mine, so I'm clearing that cell. This is a mine, right click. This is a mine, right click. This is a mine, right click. No mines. The mines here, no mines, no mines. If I want to say, let's say there's no mine, let's there's a mine here, and I want to say the neighbors of these are not mine, I can middle click on this cell. So instead of selecting every single neighbors of this, I can middle click on it and say, because there's a mine near this, the remaining neighbors are going to be clear of mines. So I'll middle click on this and I clear the neighbors. I middle click on this, clear all the neighbors. And as you see, I created another island. The island is created when you see these middle squares which are not mine and their neighbors are not mine either. If I want to do it a little bit faster, I can just work my way around this map and see if I can win this. It's not an easy game because you have to do a lot of logic and see if you can predict the location of all the mines. But it's a nice game to improve your logical reasoning. And as you see, my logical reasoning is horrible, so I lost the game because I left clicked on the mine instead of right clicking on it. Anyways, let's close this. That was just a short demo of how the game looks like. Now, we're going to create this game using WinForm applications. How is it possible? Well, I'm going to show you how it's possible. I have created a simple form. Let's say form 1, that's the main form. I can let the user play an easy, medium, or expert game, and then presses the play button. So when you open a game, there is 3 choices: easy, medium, and expert. The medium is going to open a 16 by 16 field. Each single one of these is a button. I can left click on them, and you will see that some island will appear, and then I can use right click to clear a mine, or left click to right click to say there's a mine here, or left click to clear that cell. Similar operation can be done. Now, if you're wondering how it's possible to do all of that, let me explain that. Let me close this. By clicking on this play, the event handler basically creates a new form 2 for me. What is form 2? Form 2 is a very simple form. Let me open it. It's an empty form. It has nothing in it because right now it's empty. I'm going to add all the buttons using the code, not by using the toolbox, because you need to, let's say for a medium game, you need to add 256 different buttons to this form. It's impossible to do it one by one. This is going to be a very hard process if you want to do it by hand. But what I'm going to do is a very simple operation. I'm going to say in the constructor of form 2, get the number of rows and columns from form 1. So in form 1, I will say, because you're playing the game, if the game is easy, if the easy radio button is checked, then you need to set the rows and columns to 9, and the number of mines is 10. If the medium game is selected, row and columns are 16, number of mines is 40. And if the expert is selected, the row should be 16 and the column should be 30, the number of mines should be 99, and the expert mode is selected. And what I do is just pass the text, which is basically either expert, medium, or easy, the row, which is either 9, 16, or column, which is either 9, 16, or 30, size, which is going to be a proportional value of the rows and columns, and the mines, which is the number of mines that the user has to discover. I pass all of these to the form 2's constructor, and I use f.show. Show is going to show the game in a modeless fashion. I can play multiple games at the same time because I do show. For example, I can say, let's open an easy game. This is my easy game, a medium game, and an expert game. And then basically I can play them all together. Right? If you want to create a challenge for yourself, you can just play all of them at the same time. And that's pretty much it. So this form 2's constructor basically uses these 2 for loops to go over all the rows and all the columns and creates a 2D array of buttons for me. Button is going to be a button object. I have a 2D array of buttons. And for each button, I have selected the name, the size, the location, the the back color, the mouse up event, which is going to be a button click event handler, and multiple other things. I also added each button to the controls collection of this form. Let's look at the button click event handler. That's the event handler of a mouse up event. Mouse up means when you release the mouse. When you push the mouse down event is triggered. When you move your finger from the mouse click, from the mouse button, the mouse up event will be triggered. I'm going to handle that event using the button click. What does button click do? It's basically identifying the button, the sender of this event, because we have like 256 or 400 different buttons. We need to find out which button did it. And based on the name of the button, we're going to figure out the rows and columns or the X and Y location of the button. And based on that, we are going to basically handle the event properly. If it's the left click, then we're gonna see if the game is started or not. If it's not started, we are going to initialize the whole field. The initialize is a method that uniformly distributes all the mines on the map. I don't want to get into the details of it, how it's possible, but rand is a random generator that creates a new random number. And you don't need to know all the details about this. I have written some logic to make sure that the first click is not going to be a mine. So a square of size 2 around the location that you click first will be mine free. There would be no mine in it. And you don't need to change any of these. You can just leave them there. This is basically the same way that the standard Minesweeper is designed. Anyways, so I'm going to count the mines in the field, and every time the click is happen, I'm going to count the number of mines in the field using this method, which basically checks the mind map and counts all the mines. Mind map is a 2D array of booleans. True means there is a mine. False means there is no mine. And in order to count, I need to just have a 2 nested for loops to count all the mines. Anyways, I need to count the number of mines after every click, so that I can decide what to do when the left click is happening. The next thing I will do is I check whether the location that I clicked is mine or not. If it's a mine, I will basically say game is over and you clicked on a mine and that's it. And then, after this check, if the location that you click on it is not a mine, then I'm going to move forward with, other part of this code. I don't want to go through all the details, but I have a discovered variable here, which is going to be a high set of integers, and always keeps track of the locations or the buttons that have been already discovered. And it's a long, detailed procedure. I don't want to go through the details of it. You just assume that the logic of the game is already implemented. You can read it if you want, but if not, then forget about it. Basically, here you may open an island of empty, or I should say safe island of empty of mine squares that is going to make things easier for the user. And if the user wins, you basically show a message saying congratulations. Of course, for the assignment, you have to change some part of this, but the logic of the game is not going to be changed. If a right click happens, then you need to basically put a flag on top of that square and say this is flagged. Instead of doing flag, I just changed the color to green. I showed you how to work with this. And if the middle button is clicked, middle buttons is only for professionals who are playing the game and they want to really do it in a super fast fashion and they want to clear the mines as soon as possible. So I don't want to get to the details of this. Middle ones, you don't need to do that. There's only one chance of winning the game when you click on the middle button. You need to take care of that part. You need to just let the user that you have won and the game is over. So with that said, let's look at what you need to do, because this is already done. The logic of the game is already done. Now let's find out how you can make this better. Go to the assignment. It says you can get 100% credit of this assignment by doing the following. You need to have a text box for displaying the number of currently open games in the main form. So if you remember, when I opened this, I have possibility of opening multiple games, right? It says, let's add a text box to this main form and say, for example, right now I have 3 currently open games. If I add one more, then it should be 4. If I add one more, it should be 5. Then I close 2 of them, it should be now 3. So there will be a small text box that gets updated based on how many games are open. And let's go forward with the rest of the assignment. You need to have another text box receiving the player name. The player name should be received in the main form, because this way, whenever the player wins or loses, you basically get the user's name as part of the message saying game is over or you won the game, congratulations. Anyways, that's gonna have 5 points. The next part would be another 10 points for adding another radio button. I already have 3 radio buttons, but you need to add an extra radio button for the custom game. Right now I have an easy game, a medium game, an expert game. You can add another radio button for custom game. The custom game, whenever it's checked, when you want to start playing the game, dialog should pop up and ask for the dimension of the field. I'm going to explain that later. You need to have a button to start a new game. I already have that button, so that gets no credit because it's already there in the incomplete program. Then I have a button object to end all the currently open games. So this is a nice button that you can add. If you watch my earlier video about a notification center application, I explained how this is possible. Then I have, that's a 10 points credit. Then I have another part which says, if you add a menu strip, you're going to get another 10 points. The menu strip should have options like play a new game, close all games, exit. You already know what each one means. And the first item should have some sub-menu items like easy, medium, and expert. If the user clicks on play a new game, we have one of the following possible cases. If the radio button is on easy, medium, or expert, anything except custom, then the new form containing an empty board is shown, but the new game is not started yet. The user has to first click on one of those squares in that form in order to start the game. If the custom radio button is checked, then the dialog must appear on the screen, and new custom dialog should appear on the screen. In order to know how to create a custom dialog, you can just watch my previous video explaining how the notification center works. The notification center example works, and basically the custom radio. The custom dialog should basically ask the user to input 3 parameters: number of rows for the game board, number of columns for the game board, and the number of mines. If any negative number is entered, of course, that's not legal, so you need to ask the user to try again. If the number of rows by columns is less than 18, or the number of mines is greater than half of number of rows times the number of columns, then the user should be asked to re-enter the parameters. Otherwise, everything is fine, and you can open a new game board for the user and let the user start playing by clicking on any of those squares. It says what the dimensions of the easy game, the medium game, the expert game, and the number of mines. It's already hard coded in the starter code, so you don't need to be worried about it. Then we have the flow of game. You need to make sure that when the game board is open with all those buttons, on the top right, there should be a display showing the clock. And on the top left, there should be a display showing the number of mines minus the number of flags that are already entered. So all the mines, originally, let's say in the expert game is 99, minus the number of flags, minus the number of right clicks that the user have done in the field would be the number that is shown there. Of course, if the number of flags shown on top, I'm sorry, the number of remaining mines shown on the top gets 0, the user is not going to win automatically. Maybe the user has mistakenly placed flags on the locations that do not contain a mine. So the logic is a little complex, but you don't need to get into the details of the logic. Anyways, what do I mean by adding text boxes? This is an example of the very old Minesweeper that was in very old Windows operating systems. You have one text box for showing the number of mines minus the number of flags that we selected, and this is showing you the current time. It's a timer that always increases and shows you the current time. And you need to have these two. Each one has about 10 points. And the next thing you need to have is you need to pause the clock of the game if the form containing the game gets deactivated. So the form has multiple events. One of them is the deactivated, activated. So based on the way the form gets activated and deactivated, you need to pause the timer or stop the timer and resume the timer. I talked about timers in a different example, the notification center example. When a game is lost or won, you gotta tell the user whether you lost or you won. You can either say you lost, or you can just give the name that you have received earlier from the main form's text box and say, this person you lost, or this person you won the game in a certain time, let's say 15 seconds or 95 seconds or 150 seconds, so on and so forth. If the user wants to close a game that has started, the program should ask the user if they are sure before closing it. So for that, you need to handle the closing, the form closing event of form 2. It's not a big deal. I've explained that in the example of notification center. There are nothing else, no other features that you need to implement. Just like other homeworks, you need to submit a zip file containing a short video explaining how the user can interact with the application, the source files, and a README containing your name and the items that you have successfully completed. Thank you very much.